Engineering students, here is your final tutorial, or the last part of the tutorial for the windshield. So at this point we've gotten to the section where we have created the top of the windshield, and now we just have to create the bottom section that actually fits into the body. So to do that, we have to gather some information here from the windshield multi-view drawing. The first thing we're going to do is we need to look at the shape that we need to create, which is down here. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but it's essentially a rectangle. And then over here we have a detailed view of the little nubs that are on the side here. So there are 6 of them going around. The other thing is we need to know how far it comes down. So we can see that it originates from the top of the windshield and goes down to a certain depth. Now, because of the nature of the windshield, you can see that it changes. So when you see something like this that changes on a surface, you generally want to start from the flat side. So in this case, we're going to start from this bottom side. And if we look at a dimension associated to it, it's 0.67 to the bottom of the windshield. So to complete this, we're going to go to our windshield, and we're going to go up here to the work features inside of the 3D model tab. And we're going to select an offset plane. And essentially a plane is somewhere where we can sketch. There are planes that are physically on parts, or you can create planes at different angles or distances from parts. So I'm going to select the bottom of my windshield, and then I'm going to type in 0.67. So you can see here it's created a plane underneath my windshield. I'm going to go ahead and click Sketch, and I'm going to click Sketch on this plane. And I'm going to rotate it around so I can see the bottom. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Project Geometry button, and I am going to project that surface that goes all the way around just like that, so I can see all of the edges. And then based on the orientation here, you can see that it is turned to the left, so I'm going to look at it that way. Alright, so now I just got to create this rectangle right here, which essentially is a rectangle, certain distances away, certain heights, and then filleted corners. So I'm going to go up here to my rectangle command. I'm going to make sure I'm not clicking on any lines. I'm going to draw out a rectangle. I'm going to dimension this rectangle to certain areas. So we can see here that from the front to the left side of the rectangle, it's 2.22. So from here to here, 2.22. The front of it is 0.68. So from here to here, 0.68. From the bottom, right here, so we got from the bottom to the top of this is 2.26. So from here to here, 2.26. And then from the bottom to the bottom of the rectangle inside is 0.29. So, got my rectangle. Next, what I want to do is I want to look at my fillets on the corners, and I have 4 of them, and they're at a radius of 0.15. So I'm going to select the fillet command, I'm going to type in 0.15, and I am just going to select each edge, right click OK, move that dimension up. Next, I need to create the inside of this. So I'm going to create the inside by using what's called the offset tool right here. So I'm going to select offset, and with this offset tool I'm going to select what I want to offset, which are going to be this object right here. For you guys, when you click offset, it should show up the entire box like this. So I'm going to select this, and then if I look closely here, I come down, this detail view actually indicates how thick that is, and that's 0.05. It also indicates it here and here. So I'm going to offset this, and I'm going to just type in 0.05 and hit enter. And then I can hit escape. You can see that I almost have the entire shape done. And as I'm doing this, it's fully constrained. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and create these little nubs on the sides and the front. So if I zoom in here a little bit, we can see the size of it. And then there are these lines that are actually running through the object. And these are what we call center lines, and they're used to help set up our drawings. So I'm going to actually create those, and you can use the same method I do. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to select the line, and now these lines, I'm going to make this a center line, and I'm just going to go from edge to edge and just make sure I'm at 90 degrees. I'm going to do the same thing, because there's 3 of them from there to there. And then this one is really nice because it's actually right in the center of the object, right here. This 1.28 dimension from here to here is a rounded value, but it's right in the center of this overall depth. So what I can do is I can take this and I can create this one from a midpoint, so I can snap from this green point all the way over to this green point. And that one you can see is actually blue because it's constrained. Now the other two I just needed to mention because they can move left and right. So this first one is 0.95, and that comes from that front right edge again. And actually, you guys can see here what happened was we use a center line, and what happens with a center line is it assumes that it's the middle of an object. So instead, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to highlight these lines. I'm going to turn off center line, and I'm going to make them construction lines instead. We don't want that to show up as a diameter. So now when I dimension this, you can see here from the front to this object, I can now type in the dimension, which is 0.95. That line's fully constrained. Then over here, this one is 1.94. So again, from here to here, 1.94. Now I can use this to actually draw out each one of these rectangles. So these rectangles, they are a size of 0.05, and they come off at 0.04, because we have to look at the difference between these. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to grab a rectangle. I'm going to click on this object, and I'm just going to go ahead and type it in. It comes off 0.0, let's see here, 0.04, and it is 0.05 in depth. So I'm going to place that there. If you did turn on center lines, make sure that's turned off for every other subsequent one, or it's going to get a little freaky. So I put this here, and you can see I can move this up and down. And what I want to do with this object is I want to constrain the center of my rectangle to the end point of that line. And I've got that part right there. Next, I'm going to do the same thing essentially over here. So I'm going to grab that rectangle. Again, 0.04, 0.05, enter. I'm going to go coincident constraint. I'm going to find the center of my rectangle between there, select the end point of my line, puts it right there. I'm going to do the same thing here and here. So I'm going to select rectangle again. And this will be 0.05, 0.04. Same thing, find the center, put that there. Go over here, rectangle, 0.05, 0.04. Do the same thing. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. We're going to use this later on in the class, but what we're going to do here is create a little mirror. Because this line is directly in the center, we can mirror it perfectly to this side. So we're going to select mirror, and it's going to ask us what we want to select, and we want to select these 4 lines. As you can see here, I selected the 4 lines, and then I want to select this line right here. It's grabbing that entire large line, so what I do is I just keep my cursor on that line, and this little box pops up. And this little box will see that there is a curve underneath. So when I click this little arrow and I select that little curve, it finds it for me. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one. I'm going to leave my cursor on that line because I know there's one underneath. This little box comes up. I'm going to select the second curve. There we go. I'm going to select mirror line in this box, select this mirror line, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And you can see here that it created those 2 boxes down there for us. So we have a fully constrained box. We have the 6 little rectangular jutouts. I'm going to go ahead and finish sketch. And now what I'm going to do is kind of rotate this around. And I'm going to extrude this. And I'm going to select this box. I'm going to make sure that I select each one of those little rectangles going around. It can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. You might have to zoom in a little bit. And so I've selected each one of those. I'm going to change the direction, and you can see here that, I need to move this until it hits this surface. Unfortunately, you can't do that with a distance. So instead, we're going to tell it to extrude till the next surface, and you can see here that it actually finds that next surface. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And once I have that, I essentially have my windshield complete, and we will just double check our volume, make sure our volume is correct. 1.257, which I do believe is correct, and that's what you're looking for there at the end. That is the end of your tutorial. You can use that while your teacher is gone, or you want to move ahead, or you need a little help with it.